everyone, welcome back to the channel. It's time for more Legacy, and today is a little bit of a special video. I have challenged Mr. Bosh and Roll himself to a battle with 3 member-submitted decks on my side versus 3 member-submitted decks on his side. So I asked my awesome community for some deck lists that were outside of top 15 on Goldfish. We tried to showcase some interesting, underplayed, creative stuff here. So if you mainly care about, Reanimator, Tempo, Lands, Mystic Forge on the top of the format, this video might not be for you, but I think it should be pretty cool gameplay regardless. So let's get into things here with the first deck submitted by Brendan. So Brendan likes his mono black deck, and so do I. So I'm running Brendan's exact 75, so I'm not going to go too much into, what I would do with the list. So I'm just going to basically talk about Brendan's main ideas here. So this card, Stalactite Stalker, is an interesting one. This can very quickly, put on a quick clock. The evasion is awesome. It grows from baubles, fetches, and wasteland, and aside from that, just, stuff dying on our side of the table. So that's pretty cool alongside Nethergoyf to have more good 1-drops. Thoughtseize another good turn 1 play. Then we have a pile of removal here. I believe it's 6 removal spells, 4 pushes, and a Bloodchief's Thirst and Shepherd's Edict split. They do a little bit of different things. Kills Tamiyo, for cheap. Can deal with bigger things, but it's slightly more expensive. So there's that. We have some card advantage built in here with a couple of Night's Whisper. This is actually my favorite card in Magic, so pretty awesome to see that card in Legacy. I think I've never played. Oh, I have. Okay, like 20 years ago, I played it in Legacy in some affinity lists to have infinite draw spells. But aside from that, it's been a vintage card for me. Voidwalkers should do a lot of damage across the field as a whole. Same with Bowmasters, small creatures, blue cantrips. We don't have to talk too much about that card. And then Barragoyf on top here. Note that we have Dark Ritual to power out fast either double spelling or Barragoyf. We have Wasteland in our mana base and a Surveil Land here for hopefully a little bit of Smokescreen. Hopefully Brian will worry about some blue sideboard cards like Consign or Fluster or whatever. But we are on a black deck at the end of the day. Yeah, bunch of basics here in case our mana base is under pressure from Blood Moon or recurable Wastelands or whatever the case may be. Let's see. In the sideboard, we try and shore up some combo matchups here, which makes a lot of sense. We're a mono black deck after all. We don't have too much interaction if Voidwalker is not good, if we don't draw Thoughtseize, like we need some kind of interaction. Then we have some removal spells here. Powder Keg notably kills Chalice of the Void. We have some Graveyard Hate in Fairy and Cage to go with the Voidwalkers, and then some Torox here. This could secretly be awesome if Brian is bringing some control decks powered by his members. Yeah, as I said, removal spell there. Null Rod for, everything from Painter to Mystic Forge to various combo decks. And then Damping Sphere is good against Stormy style decks and big mana decks. So we need as much crossover as we can get our hands on here with the sideboard. And I think Brendan did a good job with that. So with that said, let's get into match number 1. Alrighty, round 1. I'm playing against Bosh and Roll, and I'm playing this sweet mono black deck from Brendan. I'm on the draw here with what looks to be a fine hand. I can do a little bit of double spelling and see a bunch of cards turn 1. I guess that's fine. Dark Ritual, so obviously you would love to use, more than 2 mana when you ritual, but I think it's totally fine. Okay, so I'm up against probably some blue-white tempo deck, which is very annoying. Let me go ahead and fetch a swamp and cast Dark Ritual. I will bobble my opponent before I cast this Thoughtseize, just to get a little bit more info about what we're working with and against. There's Force of Will. Now I'm gonna bobble my own deck. Here's Fatal Push. So I do like that card quite a bit. So I guess I Thoughtseize my opponent. Okay. So these cards are generically strong. The opponent draws another force. Maybe my plan here is to take the guide I'm drawing a Fatal Push, then kind of slow down the game. This will die to Plow. I think that's fine. So now play another Goyf, play another Bauble. I guess I want to see Bosh's card underneath the Force. He does have a fetch though, so it hardly matters. Can I get punished for passing? I don't think so. All right, so let's draw the push, draw a swamp, and let my opponent play. Okay. Lots of spells getting cast here in the beginning of the game. This brainstorm's acceptable. I expect Bosh to fetch a Tundra and kill my Nethergoyf. Now is also Bosh's opportunity to get rid of those forces. Should I have thought about that? Very possible. If I take the brainstorm, I force my opponent to keep those forces. Oh. There's a fetch I wasn't shown before. Here's Tundra, here's Plow. So now, let's see what Bosh is drawing next turn. Wasteland is not a card I care about. That is a very close to a blank. But let's see if my strategy works out here. Brainstorm is also gone. I take one. Here's a couple of draws. Baragoyf is not bad. With Bowmasters, ooh, not bad either. So I have to think about days. So maybe, just maybe, I go land pass. I'm not sure about this. Because I give my opponent more time to draw, you know, days for the Bowmaster. But then again, that days would counter my Baragoyf. So maybe I actively want that to happen. Here's a Johnny. So now, let's think about this. I think I'm supposed to let this a Johnny resolve and then try and push it. Is that right? The opponent has Force Blue card now, most likely. Okay. That's pretty strong. I think I will try and push the Ajani here. I'll get forced, and then the game is like super low resource. And I hope that my Baragoyf can do some good things. My opponent can get a flyer somewhat soon. Yeah, this is a cool game. Like, really low resource. And then I guess let's see what happens to this card. My plan right now is to Bowmaster the... Okay, that flips the Ajani. Okay, never mind. So my plan was to Bowmaster my opponent's token and then force my opponent to chum block with the Guide of Souls and kind of get going this way, but this could be troublesome. Let's see. Ajani flips. Here's a token. Here's a third token. Yeah, this is a big problem. I do have a little bit of Planeswalker removal in my deck, though. Here's a flyer, so the race is kind of on. But I'm also gaining life, so... Oh, wow. What a draw. That was an incredible draw. So this allows me to get rid of Ajani. I guess let's swing with the Baragoyf. The opponent will single block. That is almost certain. The opponent single blocks. I'm somewhat happy with that. Here's Sheldred's Edict. Each opponent sacrifices a Planeswalker. Yeah, that works. And now I think I don't want my opponent to draw a Daze. Okay. I'll actually try passing here. I'm not 100% sure about this. My logic is that I can get into a situation where my opponent keeps back one token. Then I can, you know, fetch a surveil, untap, kill the token, that type of deal. Okay, my opponent sends the clowns here. What does that mean? Did my opponent just draw plow? Okay, so I guess I'll assume it's not a daze based on how the opponent played, and then I'll try and go master my way out of this race. So kill that, block over here, take 3, and then maybe this is Mockingbird? No, it was Plow. Okay. So opponent is back in the lead, but I drew that card. So kill that, attack for 1. My opponent's cantrips are dead. But they do have some good ones in the deck. Banger after banger. That's what you want to see here. Baragorth must kill card. Here's a Voice of Victory. I guess let's attack with the Baragorth. When it takes the damage. I brick. Pass. Voice of Victory getting in there. That is fine. I'll take the damage. The opponent will make this attack regardless of, you know, they have a good card in hand or not, because they don't plan on blocking. Here's Nethergoyf. That's not a bad card. I'll attack with both here. Trying to get in for 6. Even trigger here. Another Baragorth. Nice. And that's it for game 1. Yeah, I drew very well out of the bad situation I was in with the flip to Johnny. So funnily enough, we have some good cards here. Lots of good cards, actually. I wonder if even Powder Keg is good. I think so. All right, so this being a very resource demanding matchup, wonder how I'm supposed to approach that. Is this Stalker going to be good, or should I expect to be I think more of a mid-range game rather than putting on pressure? I think on the draw, it's a stretch to expect the Stalker to be good. My gut instinct is to approach this in a more mid-range fashion where I'm trying to handle whatever comes my way. Let's think about this Voidwalker. How good is that? Is that even better than Stalker? It's probably not better than Stalker, the more I think about it. Can easily get rid of some of those. Removal. Torok should be pretty insane if I get to ritual it out. Maybe that's an argument for keeping all 4 rituals. My gut instinct was to get rid of that. Voidwalker. Evasive damage is nice. Menace is sort of that. Except it's kind of a bad draw later, the Stalker. So maybe the 3-2 split is viable. The opponent's also a Wasteland deck, but now they know they cannot, you know, rely on Wasteland. Knight's Whisper is bad on paper if I'm getting run over. So maybe that's a good trim. I don't know. I'm trimming a little bit here because I actually think a lot of these cards are fine in small numbers. Okay, let's try this. All right, up a game here. I drew better in the aftermath of everything trading off. So, go me. All right, this is kind of land heavy, but I don't think I have a, like, that's just how it goes with decks like this. You kind of have to just have a natural, solid land spell ratio. And drawing that card certainly doesn't help. Would my opponent ever register Stifle? I think I should at least consider that. That deck has a lot of good 2-drops, so let me Thoughtseize here. Getting Brainstormed is certainly a concern. off a Tundra, which turns on my Wasteland. That's not bad. So the opponent gets to protect their best 2-drop. And that 2-drop is probably scary for my deck. I think in general I have to get quite lucky to beat a deck like that, because my opponent's exile removal between Plow and Ending are so strong against me. They also have Brainstorm to, you know, fix their land spell ratio, whether they need lands or need spells, right? I'm kind of in the... I just hope that my draws line up. Okay, that's funny. So take one Ajani. So my opponent is on the red splash, so might be some bombardments in there, might be Amp Raptor, might be sideboarded Pyroblast, which doesn't really matter here. So here's Volcanic. Oh, the opponent goes Bombardment first. That's solid. That's super solid way to play pattern from Modern. So I can now play a couple of Curd Apes, or I can play one Curd Ape and Wasteland my opponent, or I can play a Voidwalker. Oh. Voidwalker, eh? Maybe Voidwalker is a decent card right now. Let's try that out. Swamp. Here's Voidwalker. The next turn I can double Nethergoyf. Yeah, this is not looking great for me, I must say. Bombardment and Ajani are pretty sweet. Oh. There's exactly what I didn't want to see. My opponent kept 2 good cards on top of the deck. Very nice planning of the Brainstorm. And now, because of that, I get pseudo-punished with Ajani into Bombardment. So now the opponent can flip that card, deal me some damage. I guess no damage. Oh, 1. Got it. From the Bombardment. And now deal me 1. And I'm in big trouble against this dastardly duo. So let's play that card. Snuff Out is not very good. So let's put an instant into the yard. Play double Nethergoyf. 3 lands left in hand here. It's looking grim for the home team here. Any, like, card advantage is so good against a deck like this. Even if it's just like a Johnny, Nadu, you know, just anything that requires a couple of cards, more resources to kill, basically. That's what this deck doesn't want to see. Ryan also did a good job, game 1, of not revealing the Bombardment. And obviously keeping it on top here with Brainstorm was a top-tier play. Can't say I'd love to see that. Here's another Ajani. More bodies onto the table. And then Brian can make a 2-1, kill another Goyf. Yeah. I'm in trouble here. I'm in big, big trouble. All right, let's go to the next game. Play draw, does that change anything? I guess it makes every card in my deck better. And now that I've seen the Ajani plan, there is a chance I should reconsider what to do. How good is ritualing out, like, double spelling stuff? It's very good with Torok. Maybe I can trim a single ritual. It could also just be part of what makes my deck, you know, good to begin with, like being a little bit explosive. Okay, I'll try this. I also expect Brian to play in a way that he's not susceptible to Bowmasters as much, but his deck still has, you know, 8 cantrips, so Bowmasters should be solid regardless, but it's not like... I guess I'm killing Pride. That's like the dream lineup for me. That I am on the play and I kill a Pride with Bowmasters. All right, let's play first here. I do have an aggressive Stalker draw. I like that. The Bobble is kind of saving us here. So I go Stalker. look at what's going on over at Brian. There's Mockingbird, the cool one. Run an additional card here. Can't say the third swamp is what I wanted to see. So now the ideal scenario is that I get to waste a duel, develop another stalker, and like keep attacking. I feel like that's a game I'm winning. But then of course, a bunch of stuff can happen here. I would be satisfied if Brian just goes, you know, Tundra, copy my stalker. Okay. It looks like we're getting there. Okay, this is good for me. So now that goes to a 2/2 as well. Yeah, that is not what I want to see. Those lands are going to be very problematic. Getting in there with a 2/2, growing to a 3/3 and a 2/2. The Menace is kind of doing a good job right now, especially when I start combining it with removal. So funnily enough, I can't shoot the Sheriff this card. Here's basic planes. Brian doesn't want to get doesn't want to get wastelanded twice. That grows to a 3/3. Okay, yeah, that is a big problem. I'll try and kill that card and attack for 5. Even just a fetch land here I feel like would win the game, but now I actually think I'm going to be in trouble. Let's see how Brian recovers from my early onslaught. I would be very surprised if 2 small creatures and a removal spell was enough to win this game. Let's see. Okay, so Brian kind of takes a turn off here with a bombardment. I really feel like I need to hit a play now. That is a play. Barragoyf is certainly a play. So now I believe these guys grow end of turn. Because a permanent was put into the graveyard from anywhere. Alright. Brian is down to 5, facing off against some evasive creatures. Johnny is very good. How does this work? Feel like Brian can get rid of the 3/3? Maybe the 4/4. Maybe just a 3/3. I don't know. Let's see. Goblin Bombardment, sacrificing, pinging for 1, flipping a Johnny. Yeah, he can get rid of the 3/3. And then have 2 blockers for the 4/4. Alright, that hits the bin. Yeah, he has to stay back. I draw Nethergoyf. So now let's see if my opponent makes that double block. Then what? I'm trying to figure out if things get better from here. I'm not growing this card. If I'm forcing that trade, I feel like my opponent is stabilizing, but if I don't, then, you know, this will outgrow my creature. So yeah, I don't think I can win this game. Let me try and attack Brian because of Orcish Bowmasters being a card. But Brian knows if I had a Bowmaster, he would just kill this cat. So this is just kind of a forced block. Here's Nethergoyf. Here's another swamp. Yeah, whew, I really got cooked this game for drawing 5 swamps, 0 fetches. That was the game. So whether that means I should play more or I should be more lucky, who knows? Because you have to balance the 7 basic swamps with like just getting Blood Moon on the draw out of nowhere. So you can't just go to like 3 swamps or whatever. That would be like you can't do that, right? So it's a matter of whether you want number 9 in here, or whether you want number 10, like tops. But we're talking about 1 or 2 more tops. So like a little bit of magic, high level magic is oftentimes about, you can never like have any guarantees, but you can press, you know, your percentages in the right direction. And that's kind of what adjustments like that would do. Like there's no guarantee I don't draw 5 swamps, but the likelihood is going to be lower, right? So the opponent completely dominates the board here. Bloodchief's Thirst is a good one. So, let's see. What's my plan? Bloodchief's Thirst. The problem is the opponent has redundant Ajani. I don't think I can get out of this. Like, this is just a very good lock. And I'm sure this is a May ability. Yeah, this is a May ability, so I can't do any funny business here. I'm down to 12. I can kill that Ajani, but I lose to the others. Yeah, that's going to do it. Brian got me here. That was a sweet match. If I draw a fetch line, I feel like I finish him off, but yeah. 5 swamps, not good enough this time. All right, let's see what we can do in round number 2. All right, deck number 2 submitted here by Ford 0076. That just sounds cooler than 0076. We need to take advantage of the James Bond equity while we can. So this is a Bant control deck that has a lot of good cards in it that you would want to be playing anyway. And then we have Plagon here on the top of that curve. So let's talk a little bit about why Plagon is good. So Plagon is good because it basically just rewards us for playing to the board, which we're already interested in. And then it's going to outdraw the opponent and hopefully put our opponent to sleep, whether that's by virtue of semi-comboing off with Nadu, or it's just burying the opponent in cards, which more or less is the same thing these days. We play some removal spells, some dazes, some forces. I hope these dazes will catch Brian. I don't think you would expect daze out of a, you know, mid-range deck like this. Halfling and Tameo make for awesome turn 1 plays that is also powering the Plagon. And then we have a nice Stoneforge package here. Just 3 copies, but I like that a lot. The card is, you know, you want to see it, the first copy, maybe the second copy. You have a grind element in pre-war formal wear against, you know, discard spells, counters, removal that isn't plow, basically. And then we have combo potential here with a single copy of Shuko to go with our Nadus. So this is like as close to a value deck as you can get in Legacy these days, and I really like it. I think if we can get out of the early turns without getting behind too much, I really like our chances. Let's see here, sideboard-wise, we have the 4th Plow. That makes a ton of sense. A little bit of a white meltdown action here against small creatures, against, you know, Urza's Saga decks, etc. Lots of negations here against combo. And then we have various 1-mana interactive spells here. Hydro covers a lot. We talked about that on the channel a lot, you know, from everywhere from the Blood Moons to the Red Painter decks to, you know, the Sneak Attacks, the Rite of Flames of the world. Bluster, again, against various combo decks. Consign, good against colorless, good against Storm decks as well. You know, imagine some big Galvanic Relay, we counted the Storm Trigger, that works. And then we have some Graveyard Hate because this list is submitted with Reanimator in mind. In theory, we could play against some Graveyard deck out of Bosh, of course. Veil here against any blue or black deck. Single Carpet here against any blue deck, but it's obviously going to be the most awesome against Tempo. And then a single Disruptor Flute for, you know, Doomsday, Sneak Attack, Nomading Core, Urza's Saga, One Ring. Like, this has a lot of applications. All right, let's get into match number 2. All right, sorry for interrupting the video. I just wanted to mention a quick word about my Metafy. These are good examples of the last articles I've uploaded. Deck dumps here. I tweaked a lot of 75s to beat Reanimator. I also had some basically insight how to beat Reanimator. The deck dumps were awesome. Then I had a Jeskai Wizards deck, full guide, lots of tricks against the field. Same for Isid Cutter, same for Mono Red Prison, same for Dimir Reanimator. Basically update very competitive 75s over here. So yeah, I just wanted to mention a quick word about my Metafy. You can join right now with the code ECO50 to save 50% on the first month of your Booksmart Baron subscription. It would be awesome to see you over there. Thanks so much for watching so far, and let's get back into crushing some Legacy. All right, match 2. I'm playing Bant Plagon, and this is not a keep against anything, unfortunately. I have to hit the mulligan button. All right, this looks reasonable. We can get the show on the road here. Let's see. What is better? A third land in the dark? The formal wear in the dark? Maybe it's the formal wear that had to go. I feel like that is also a card I can tutor up later if I really wanted to. Let's protect our mana base a little bit here. Bloodstrand Pass. Ooh, here's a cool one. This could be some combo shenanigans. It's not. It's probably some painter. Huh. Which deck would do that? Maybe it's some ninja deck? So the thing is, I can kill that card with a bunch of cards in my deck, but I can't kill it right now. So maybe what I'm supposed to do is this. Let's see. Fetch that card. Days before resolving the trigger to kind of inform what to do if my opponent fights. Ooh, this card. This card might be decent for later, making Nadu a good draw. But it's tricky when you natural draw your equipment. So let's play out that card. I do like myself a Tamiyo, but this could also be a fast matchup. Let's see. I don't think you go Springs turn 1 unless you have to. Okay, here's Brainstorm. Yeah, I feel horribly unprepared here. Not usually in the trenches of outside of the top 15, so I guess this is just, I'm just a tourist here. Let's see. Okay, so some ninja deck confirmed. That's pretty cool. So at least I had a little bit of an idea what's going on. I think I'll try and I'll think about this. So maybe I should play Tamiyo Pass. Yeah, I think that's a good play. I'll play Tamiyo Pass, hold up, quote unquote, plow. My opponent will hopefully be incentivized to try and kill Tamiyo and can get a little bit of value, and it's also conveniently a blocker here. I'm sad to see that Brian likes all of the cards that he saw in the Brainstorm. That's not how it's supposed to go. What does this mean? Okay, it probably means Orcish Bowmaster. That's a good draw. I really like that draw. So probably... Let's think about this. If I attack with Tamiyo and I cast Swords... and I cast Brainstorm, my opponent Bowmasters. I'll plow the Bowmasters. Then my opponent starts to get a ninja going, but I'm also keeping my opponent a little bit busy here. What's the reason they kept that card? Yeah, who knows? So let me attack with Tamiyo first. Get my hands on a clue. Yeah, Brian is a legendary ninja player, so he goes for the block. Well, let's see how this works. I have Bowmasters on my radar, but I'm not willing to play around that and Force a Will is basically my position here. Let's see how that goes for me. Here's the reason. So that card enters. Brian has to decide on the ping. I try and resolve a plow. Brian also has the force. Okay, so I get God here, which is very unfortunate. Oh, these cards are very, very bad. I don't think this is beatable. Let's see. I'm losing my Tamiyo. I'm drawing bricks. My opponent has a Bowmaster. Yeah, that is sideboard the sideboarding queue here for sure. All right, playing against ninjas. I like these cards. I can't say I like my counters, so hopefully I have enough cards here. Let's see. I guess I can board in these 6 for 6 counters. I think that's good. Get rid of counters. That deck plays a lot of mid-rangey cards and even uncounterable stuff, so I think that's reasonable. I like all of these other cards. Yeah, that was always a tough one. I knew it was coming, but didn't feel like I could respect the Force of Will on top. It was a tough one because I could just sit around. That was basically my alternative, to sit around there. And if I flip the Tameo on end step in response, I lose my Tameo, and yeah, it was not ideal. I think I was forced into this spot, unless I just wanted to lose slowly instead. Sometimes you have to engage, and even though, you know, it can end poorly, but you have to engage because sitting around is way worse in modern day Legacy. All right, so confirm Bowmasters is annoying. That is something this deck doesn't want to see based on, you know, Plagon, drawing cards, mainly. And you don't really have, like, you just have the plows, right, at instant speed. It's not a card you want to force a will, so bunch of annoying stuff there. Okay, I can go turn 1 Halfling, turn 2 Nadu uncounterable. So we obviously take that, and then we see where this hand takes us into the mid game. But I really like that opening, at least. If Halfling gets killed by push, I will try and ponder into another on turn 2 and kind of go that route. Glorified Forest, Halfling, S. So the dream is that that card is deading a Daze or Force in the opponent's hand, but not super likely that that is in the deck post sideboard. Otawara, Ornithopter. Let's see here. So play Nadu, which conveniently is a good blocker. Otawara, pass. Okay, and now brainstorming. So this has 1 lander written all over it. I don't have any ways to pounce on that. It's just an observation. So Brian found a land, another O2. So in theory, Brian could have means to, like, black mana ninja, basically. So let's see, what do we do about that? My hand is quite bad, so I would happily swap, you know, more than 1 card here. Stoneforge Mystic is kind of insane here. Maybe I can get rid of, like, a Ponder and a Trop. Ponder, Trop, that sounds fine. So let's cast Stoneforge. Brian will force this if he has it. I'm not going to respect Daze here. I'm going to jam the Shuko. I don't think Daze is a card you would play with, like, Otawara and stuff. Okay. That's surprising. So I guess I should consider attacking. Wow. Yeah, that was a big, big blowout. Let's see. Next turn. Attack. Put in a ninja. I'll try and attack here. Ooh, Daze out of your Sink into Stupor Otawara board deck. I guess he's trying to run the same formulas. I don't expect my opponents to respect Daze either. I don't even know what this is. Oh, the hacker. Okay, that's cool. I didn't expect that. The 1 mana ninjutsu guy. That gets in for a card. Totally reasonable. I think I'm supposed to brainstorm here. Get rid of a few lands. Fetch. Guess I'll fetch Trop here. Let's see if we can find some awesome stuff. So under normal circumstances, this qualifies as awesome stuff. But maybe not this time. What happens if I draw that Veil? Is that good? Should be good later on, I feel like. I really try and pounce while Brian is not, like, he's basically playing mono blue here with double Ornithopter, and I'm trying to capitalize. So I need to draw 2 of these. Maybe this is a shuffle because the Veil is just unexciting. Like, that's the other cards are unexciting, rather. Okay, I'll try and shuffle here. I don't love it. I don't think I killed a hacker. Let's try this. Really wanted to find a plaque on there to put away the game. That card gets in there. I don't think I can allow that, so I'll take the trade here. Mono blue. No Bowmasters, no Black Ninjas, and that is very funny. I draw the Culture Complete after trading off the Stoneforge. That is pretty funny. Okay, so that Plagon is incredible. It's also uncounterable. So my opponent can maybe return it to my hand. How bad would that be? I think I have to stack like this so I can hardcast Cauldron next turn. Uncounterable. So my opponent needs the... Okay. Yeah, now I'm in good shape. Now the game's over because I get to draw a gazillion cards and I get to target with this one. All right, Mono Blue Ninjas I can beat. Unexpected Days. that was brutal. I don't think I'm supposed to do anything here, so let me just quickly look at my like one of cards that could make a difference here. I do have a Fluster. I'll probably fire that off on the first brainstorm I see. I don't expect it to have any, maybe like Fatal Push at some point. What am I even fluting? I don't know. Yeah, this matchup is kind of scary because Brian can get out of the gates with snowballing ninja advantage. So I really like my hands with, like when I was on the play, I could do the 1-2, you know, halfling Nadu punch. Like that was just very strong against this deck in general. But yeah, I like the removal hands. I could see getting in some tough spots with too many cantrips, too many 3-drops type of deal. Let's see if we can avoid that. So Brian had days on the draw. I guess that means he will have days on the play, which is something I will certainly not forget. All right, the ninja deck on the play. I have triple Stoneforge, planes, bunch of blue things. So I need to press the mulligan button, unfortunately. This is a lot better, and these cantrips are very redundant. So let's get rid of a brainstorm, I think. I think my plan is something like turn 1 halfling, turn 2 uncounterable Tameo, try and flip it. And if all of that fails, I think I like Ponder better than Brainstorm. Turn 1 Ponder. I'm not out of the woods. The opponent can still develop a Ornithopter, which might change my play to Tamiyo instead of Halfling because of, blocking. Very undervalued part of Magic. This reminds me a little bit of some dual commander games where you have that 0 mana. You have that 0 mana commander. So, okay. Drawing Nadu there is quite impressive. And I think that changes my plan back to Trop Halfling. Also, funnily enough, Brian keeps starting on these non-islands. Ooh, now he's in the tank about forcing a Halfling. Okay, so at least we like that exchange on paper. So here comes the hacker. I don't like that exchange. Brian is straight back in it here. With the hacker connecting like it's Pauper. Drawing a card. Playing a land. Replaying that card. Am I trying to flip my Tamiyo here? I think so. If it gets killed, it gets killed. I think that's fine. I also actively want to do this before Bowmaster becomes active. I think the Halfling is quite bad. Should I respect Thoughtseize? Let's see if there's something here. There isn't. So my hand is now back to being very bad against Bowmasters, which I don't like. Surveil, okay. Brian likes the card. So now the hacker could get in for 1 as a loot. Oh, there's another ninja in my future. That's not good. I guess once you pitch Kaito, you have some stuff, right? Okay. So there's a cool interaction here. Brian can do this and then still have time to potentially ninjutsu the Ornithopter. Okay, holding up here. I guess before making my decision, I'll play Inadu. Probably get Savannah here to be foolproof against a first Wasteland. Nadu. Get dazed. I don't love that. Plussing the Tamiyo. Here's the Bowmasters that I all but knew about. And now Brian is actually, let's see. Was that a second Surveil land? That's really cool. I certainly didn't expect that either. Wait a minute. Putting Stupor into the graveyard? I think I'm just losing if that's the case. Oh, I guess Brian is on 2 lands. No, wait. Okay. I don't know. That Stupor seems like the answer to Tamiyo. Brian could get in for 1 here on the Tamiyo, which is for sure delaying me. Okay, he's digging instead of getting in for 1. Maybe it's because he's trusting this Bowmaster to be the hate bear. Okay, I see. Yep, I'm in very big trouble here with a bunch of cantrips against a Bowmaster. Just like I certainly did not draw it up, but that's the nightmare scenario for this deck. Another Nadu is pretty cool. If this can stop the aggression, I think I have a shot. Let's see if... Okay, it's not force blue card. I'll try and keep upticking a little bit here, because at the very least I get some nice buffer in the face of removal. Let's see what this is. Could be another orc. Oh, Murderer's Cut, just like old times. Okay, so I draw... Murderous Cut, sure. So now if I just find a removal spell for the Bowmasters, I could theoretically go for it. I think this attack will tell us a lot about my opponent's position. Okay. So bunch of cards getting in for 0, but that's not very good against ninjas, unfortunately. So my opponent getting the Tamio down to 6. And here's the second Kaito that we... Oh, it's not Kaito. Okay. So no plow here. I will fetch... Oh. I should have paid attention here and brainstormed. Draw. Yeah, the Bowmaster was returned. I should have paid attention there. That was not good. So I keep drawing Nadu. That's not terrible in this spot. And now let's do this. I can now cast Brainstorm in response. So I did end up finding a window, but I should have been more awake. I'll do it in response because I don't want to... I'm going to, you know, look like somebody who has Force Will in my deck. I will go and fetch this one to bolster white. Okay, so here's Prismatic Ending and then Plagon. So I guess my best card right now is this Ending. Bosh can now target the Tamio. And now is a big turn, I feel like. Okay. Brainstorm is awesome. Prismatic Ending on the Bowmaster and hope for the best. Probably going to be my line. I'm hoping that this Nadu in my Stoneforge Mystic deck basically forces Bosh to do something. Let's see. I guess even just a simple removal spell on the Nadu would be quite strong. Because then it's unlocking some chip damage here. I'm not beating a lot of things. That's kind of the problem. I can basically only beat, like, more creatures that aren't Bowmasters. Okay, so this is decent for me, because this is probably Brian, yeah, shuffling 2 bad ones. And then, what was the magic draw? Okay, so Brian doesn't want to lose to a single removal, is how I view this, anyway. Let's see if the Infiltrator attacks as well. So what do I want to eat here? Probably want to eat the Looter. Yeah, it's a pretty cool situation. So what can I do on my turn? I can go ending onto the Bowmaster. Okay, so let's see what this is. So I guess I just block over here. And Tamio takes 2. I think that's acceptable. Tamio's down to 5. Let's see. Fatal Push, that works. 1 card left. Tamio. Okay. So, how to play the game. Kill that card, deploy Plagon. Feels like the move. Unexciting, but kind of has to be done, I believe. Plagon will be a blocker, so Tamio only takes 1 damage. Alternatively, I switch modes and I go ending Bowmasters, ending Tamio. but I don't think that's how I should do it. Let's play this. Let's end. I could, you know, find a better window for Plagon. If I find any creature here, it's going to be so much better. Okay, I'm going to try this. I do find any creature and then some. So maybe this is where I go. Like this. Deploy Tamiyo plus. So that was kind of my whole point, was about the Plagon. Drawing one card is very bad, but drawing... It was just getting a blocker, right? Bosh with one card in hand. Okay, so he keeps doing this. Got it. So I'm gonna block. Tamiyo's gonna take one. And then Bosh has the option to track a clue to see if he can spike a ninja before damage. Oh, he already had one. That one, okay. So that one connects very strong. Okay. I'm still trying to find a window with this Tamiyo, and I'm unsure if I'm overdoing it. Right. Sing it to Stupor is now an answer that I previously did not consider. I also decided to draw this over the Stoneforge, which is up next, which I'm not sure about. Let's see here. If I can get to... I guess a draw 2 is pretty solid. That will flip my Tamiyo, though, which is not smart. Huh. I didn't think this through. Yes, we cast Ponder here, see what happens. Blusterstorm. Wow. Maybe that's the card that does it for me here. Okay. Let's try this Fluster out. So, what happens now? I go plus block. Yeah, Magic's super complicated. So maybe I do like this. Like that, like that, like that. Draw. Plus pass. And then I hope to plow Fluster my way out of this. Block, plow. Untap. Yeah, let's see if this works. I'm bad against Bowmasters. So I wanted to declare blocker, then kill a ninja with plow. Hope that my opponent minuses on second main, and then I can bluster. Yeah, I'm not sure about this. I'm not sure. This has been a very hard game to maneuver for me. I'm sure the pilot would have done a lot better, or the builder of the deck. I focused very much on ultimating Tamiyo this game. Against a deck that is pretty good at pressuring it. So my opponent should also know that there's something cooking here with regards to that Tamiyo. And I already forgot if I have Stoneforge or Halfling on top. I think I have Stoneforge. So let's see. Next turn, I could theoretically go Stoneforge into Stoneforge into Formal Wear. So let's see what this is out of the opponent. Let's see. Okay, so Ornithopter on me. I think that's very reasonable. So let me block a... Maybe I block here. But then again, I'm not beating Bowmasters. Okay, let me block over here. Let me plow another ninja. Commander Ninjutsu. So let's see. That card is... And here comes Bowmaster. So the problem with Bowmasters here is it will grow this army and ping Tameo. So I'll plow the Bowmaster here. Yeah, this is a really cool sequence. So I'm forcing this through with the Fluster. Now this is growing. Tameo's getting some hits in, and now flip Delta. Okay, one card in hand. Here's Ornithopter. So we made it all the way back to here, which is kind of funny. Let us Stoneforge. Yeah. Formal Wear. Play Formal Wear on Nadu. Yes, plus this card. And pass. Is this Vigilance? Yeah, so this is Vigilance. Okay. Plus on Tameo. What a hard game. Here's Ornithopter. The opponent needs, or at least, you know, they want to play out as much stuff as possible. And now I'm going to go for the draw 4 and trigger it a ton of times. So this is where I want to be. Let's play Plagon, draw 4. I guess flipping that one for no reason. Keep. So let's see how this works. So now I can use Plagon for a ton of triggers. But I should probably worry about... maybe down ticking is the move here. What if I do that on ending? Kill my opponent's... Yeah, that's probably what I should do here. So let's see. Let's cast Ponder. Disruptor Flute. Is that good? Unclear. I do like the plow, though. Let's see. Boom, boom, boom. Draw. Return. Prismatic Ending. Ending. Maybe I have another Trop. Yeah, I have another Trop. I guess play a blocker and attack is good. S. No minus now from Tameo. I have to remember that. I briefly forgot about it. This is where Bosh needs a good card, because otherwise this will just start and go crazy. Murderous Cut holding up all the mana. That's so funny. Wrath of the Skies. That is really funny. So if I can keep my Planeswalker, I guess that's pretty sweet. So I guess let's block, and block. So let's see. I keep my Planeswalker. I go to 4. I have 6 damage in play. This game is very complicated. Kind of lost track of this game, to be honest. The Seiju is not bad. So let's see. How much do I need to kill the board now? And what happens if I just do it for 2? Then we both have... I don't think that's good. It's better for me to do it for 3. So I want to... And the formal wear is also gone. What happens if I do it for 2? Then I have to use a plow on the ninja, potentially. Let's read this card. Artifact, creature, enchantment. So that's everything over there. And then I leave Eureka, and I have a Plagon that's attacking for a bunch. Okay, so I think that's good for me. So I should plus this card. Guess we should attack first. So whip. Oh, it's 3. Okay, that changes a tiny bit, but I think it's fine. All right, equip Plagon. I guess attacking here doesn't do anything because of the clue. Getting killed by Wrath, so I guess nice play. Yeah, I think I made a mistake here. I thought I could hold up I thought I could hold up plow mana, but I can't. So yeah, this could be a very bad play. Let's see. All right. So the good thing is I plus Tameo, so even if my opponent finds a removal, this actually does not connect. Maybe that's good. Okay, so now it's looking hard to lose the game, and that card is awesome. So let's see, does that change anything? This is how big? This is a 5. So now I have lethal potentially. I don't think this fetches a white source in the deck right now. Let me just go and check. Let's see. How many Tundras are we running? We're running 3 Tundras and no button. Okay. So I'm threatening lethal. A card like Bowmaster would be annoying. So what happens if I go fetch hardcast? Hardcast complete. Attack. And then since my opponent has lethal. Oh shoot. Okay, so I messed up here. In my mind, it was already a 5/5, and I even messed up my walker here. Sheesh. Too much stuff going on. Too much stuff. Okay. Not my proudest moment. So if I play well, I activate this Plagon to eat the Eureka. I plus this to 7, and I present like triple lethal thing. Oof, that was not good. Lots of stuff going on here. This is not blue-black Reanimator, so I hope you guys enjoy the entertainment value. That was a mess in the end here. This was one of the best games I've had in a while, and I kind of botched it here on the last couple of turns. So yeah, sorry about that. Let's do better in the next. Third deck, Dimir Ninjas. And I think this deck has been cool for a while, but with the addition of Tamio and Kaito, we can finally say that it's actually, you know, something you would consider playing. So I think that's very, very cool. Thank you to Blue Hen 28 for submitting this. Again, I want to highlight just the good cards that's like the bone of the deck. It's like the cantrips, 4 Tamios, 4 Bowmasters, free counters. I would even argue Baleful Strix is just a totally reasonable card. Same with Murktide Regent. A couple of Wastelands here. So we get a rock-solid mana base, and we get this annoying play pattern of even stuff like Baleful Strix has to get, you know, can't really connect. Even stuff like in Orc Army can't connect. So this deck will overload the opponent's removal spells. And we don't play Ornithopter, which I like because that card is pretty embarrassing on its own, right? So it's only an enabling card. So this deck goes down a little bit on enablers, and then it adds individual card quality. So let's look at the payoff here. The payoff is basically going to be these 7 ninja cards. So Kaito is awesome. I would probably play a third copy. Eureka is very, very cool. I believe it's like a reverse confidant. So let's see. You reveal the top card. The opponent loses life equal to that card's mana cost. So in theory, you could like connect, respond to the trigger, brainstorm a Force of Will to the top of your deck, brainstorm a Murktide Regent to the top of your deck. You can do some cool things here. Kaito, awesome. Legacy Staple out of blue-black tempo. And then the cheap one here to go with Eureka on turn 2, but Eureka being a legend. I think this is why we're going for this split. We are hedging a little bit against combo with this Force of Negation. I think Force of Negation is a little bit weird on this deck because, you know, you ninja in a Eureka, but you can't protect it with Force of Negation. So at that point, it just becomes a defensive tool on the opponent's turn, which is, you know, it's not bad, but it's usually a sideboard card. I'll just say that. Out of the sideboard, it looks like we are running some Red Blasts, Consign here, Colorless Elemental Blast, always going to be a good one. We go up to the second Negation, then a couple of Harbingers. So I guess it's very, very possible that Bosh brings some deck that with a very ambitious mana base, and we can get to fetch our Swamp and play this on turn 3 and run away with it. So that should be pretty cool. 3 Graveyard Hates here for, I guess, Reanimator. This also has good crossover against mainly Green Sun's Zenith. But there's also some stuff like Gaia's Will. There's some stuff like, what's the other card I'm thinking about here? Like Mystic Forge in a pinch. It's not that bad. A couple of Baragos here for when synergy is not ideal and we just need individual card quality. Like I could imagine we would be trimming some bases and some forces. And then some hard removal for when, you know, we just want to go like pound for pound mid-range on the opponent. All of these being flexible in the sense that they can kill planeswalkers, which is probably a good focus for your Dimir deck. So yeah, I'm excited for this third match. I hope you enjoy it. Okay, last match of the video. I'm on the draw here with Dimir Ninjas, which is kind of funny since we just played where Brian was on the Ninja deck. So, I mean, I'm no stranger to the Mono Blue Ninjas. Brian had that going for a while in the previous match, so let's see if we can do a little bit better here and find black mana at some point. But yeah, I mean, we have a solid hand. I have a Tamio and some cantrips, so this will be fine. I don't know what I'm up against, though, so I might change my evaluation of what's fine. Let's play a Tamio. I like that my opponent can't, you know, deal with it on the end step. So my opponent is wasting a little bit of mana here no matter what. Okay. So more brainstorming. The old-fashioned way, taking your draw, then digging one card deeper, overusing your mana more efficiently. So what does that tell me? Maybe it tells me that Brian is not running a deck like Beanstalk or, you know, Core Steel Cutter. He's basically not running like a key card he would love to have on turn 2. So he wants to minimize the variance more. by taking a draw and then brainstorming. In the meantime, I drew another Bowmaster, which doesn't do anything right now, but, you know, should be good after resolving a couple of ponders. Which also conveniently flips this card. But I must say, I will suspect Brian is on some kind of control deck here. Let's see if I'm right about that. Oh, shoot. That is atrocious. So let's see if Brian can even mildly recover here. Taking a bad draw and then pondering would be kind of disastrous. Upkeeping lore unrevealed would be a lot better. Huh. This daze might be awesome this game. No black mana yet, but you can get that now. Boom. There we go. Okay, so I want the Wasteland in the mix in case. This is too funny that both of our crews thought ninjas would be a good one. Okay, so it was not the upkeep lore unrevealed. It was, in fact, the... Oh, crap. What is this? Pedal means combo, right? Right, guys? I feel like this is a ponder moment where I have to try and get to Force of Will. I'll play the Swamp out in case I randomly get Bowmastered out of this spot. There's the Force of Will. Okay, so I really like that Force as some kind of safety. And now I just want to play some 1/1s that hopefully are going to be good against Brian. Here's the second card he knows about, right? Yeah. I'm going to slam the Bowmaster here and use my mana. If I get forced, it is what it is. If I don't, sure. Consigned to memory. Oh, so we're dreadnoughting over there, I think. And then this pedal is just like a random trinket. That's pretty cool. So now I have a choice. Do I like Strix plus Clue? Do I like Bowmasters plus Crew? Clue. Okay, so I think I'll play like this. Brian is still sitting there. It's really not pretty. So I'll play this. And now there's another tough decision on Brian's side to make. If I keep trading these for Force Blue... Oh, Show and Tell. Sheesh. Okay, I see. So no Dreadnought. It was actually some Show and Tell deck. Omniscience, probably. I guess let's crack this. I know about the Fatal Push, actually, so... But I guess I looked kind of cool while doing it. Feel like this is time to play a clock. So which mana do I need up? I'll slam the Murktide here as a 5/5, and then play my second Swamp here, basically giving up my deck, which is hilarious. The fact that Ninjas sees double play here. So, I mean, I just guess Brian has, like, Show and Tell, Payoff, and Protection. So I feel like I'm in a little bit of a hurry here. Here's another Bowmaster, and I can ultimate next turn, which is a good clock to be sitting behind. Let's see here. I should probably start thinking about Flusterstorm count. But I could also be thinking about finding the second Force of Will. Okay. Okay, I'm playing this card. Force of Will. Fatal Push. All right, pass. Is this the most desperate impulse in the world? It's not. It's Into the Flood Maw. Do I actually believe that card matters? I don't. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, he needed to give me a creature even, so I have 7 here. So it's a 2-turn clock instead of a 1-turn clock. Yeah, that's acceptable. Here's a pedal. Here's Dace, my revenge for last game. Oh, wait a minute. This is some Orchard shenanigans, which is very, very cool. So, force the show and tell. And we're off to sideboarding. Yeah, okay. So, show and tell. And I have almost no cards against that deck. That's not good. So, these are bad. I'm trying to think about what that deck is. It's like can't remember. It's a problem. I want to say Hive Mind, but I'm not sure about that. I think it's like Orchard. You play that split second card and you do something. Yeah, I can't remember. Maybe the game is more fun if I don't research that. So let's just play somewhat in the dark here. Am I just bringing a random blue card to not have Fatal Push in my deck? I think that's reasonable. And which one is that supposed to be? Probably the Harbinger. So the Harbinger at least shuts down Orchard if that's the case. But I'm sure there's something I'm missing there from that interaction. All these other cards are decent. I'm sure there's something to consign at some point. Okay. That deck. I'm scared about that deck. My deck is not well set up at all because I don't have any Thoughtseizes in my 75. And that deck can also frequently ignore Bowmaster. I'm slow. I'm more trying to get a little bit of value than trying to crush my opponent. So I'm not actual tempo. And I don't have that much disruption. Okay. Could be a rough one. I'm very, very fortunate that Brian drew air in the first game. I got infinite time. So I could just focus on, looking for force rather than try and be fast. I'm going to keep this hand base just because of that Force of Will. And I'm not going to be shocked if I live to regret it. Let's see if I can spike a blue source to get into the game undeservingly. Stock Up is a card I'm forcing every day of the week. I wish I could remember how my opponent is winning the game, like with that exchange thing, but I don't. So I force with Consign. I draw Wasteland, which is not bad. Now it also looks like I kept a reasonable hand, but I didn't. Okay, that's what you want to see, and that's what you want to see. Okay, so now maybe I can learn the deck before game 3. I can't recommend letting anybody resolve Stock Up if you want to win the game. Here's Brian thinking about reasons to play out Pedal or hold Pedal, I guess. Underground Sea lets me have the illusion I'm playing the game. Let's just cast Ponder. These cards are solid, but they're not what I'm looking for. Okay, I'll shuffle these. I really don't like that. Land is decent, so if I get through to the next turn, I can start doing stuff, but I don't have high hopes. Resolving Stock Up is just so strong. Otawara, Brian's favorite card. Here's the Slow Road Pedal. Another one. Let's see what this is now. 6 mana. Here's Hive Mind, which will kill me straight away because I don't have Daze nor Force. Hive Mind resolves. Here's Pact the Titan. And this is exactly where, if I had kept that consign and realized what this was about, I could have done something, right? Because now I get a trigger that I could have consigned, so... Nice little blast from the past here. Does that change anything? Wait a minute, how does these blasts work? Can I blast my own Poppy, in theory? I think so, yeah. So maybe that makes it slightly better than Harbinger, but I'm not even sure about that. What happens if I blast my own? I think that's just fine, right? Because it's a blast. You cannot... It's not like a hard counter. It has to target a red thing to work. So, I don't know. Let's try this. Oof, I really missed Thoughtseize, I must say. If I just had a couple of Thoughtseizes, that would actually be, you know, fine. But now it's like, I have 6 forces in my deck, and I feel like I have to draw 2 of those to have a shot. I guess some Tamiyo Yuriko draw can get there with a single force, but it's a rough one. This deck didn't plan for generic combo. We've now learned that I can beat Brian's atrocious draws and that I have a 0 chance against Brian's good draws. Let's see if we can manipulate the stats here. Okay, so I do find double force here, so I guess that's one of my best scenarios, is that I can kind of sewers my way into a random creature. There's a fight at some point. Brian goes all in, pitches everything, and is left with a terrible payoffs card, and I win the game. Come on, baby. Ninja. Or, you know, Strix, Tamiyo, that kind of deal, Bowmasters. Here's Forbidden Orchard, which is very funny, because since I play Kaito, I will counter that card. I don't love it, but I will. What's the alternative? This is a 1 mana. This can go and get Swamp. Okay, I'll actually try and let this go and see what happens. Because my deck plays reasonably well off Swamp and even double Swamp. Alright. So, Carpet, an awesome opener for my opponent here. I could have read it as a weakness, leading on Orchard. I'm not going to rule that out completely. My plan is basically now to say I'm fighting over the payoff stuff and leaving you in the dirt mana-wise is not what I'm going to do this match, or this game, rather. So, funnily enough, Swamp or Fetch is actually a solid draw now. I think I have to keep that Strix, and then you start using Kaito. Opponent gets +1 mana from the Carpet, which is obviously very solid. Here's Stock Up. I can't let that happen. Stock Up is too strong. Let me pitch this Baleful Strix. So now, hopefully, this Kaito will get me to a 3rd one, but I don't know. I don't know. if that is viable. Like this. Guess I'm fetching for a swamp here. Mm-hmm. This is kind of funny. Orchard token enabling the ninja. Looking for a force and nothing else, I think. Hydro? No, I don't think these cards are any good. I drew another force. Okay, so at least I'm doing something right here and knowing what this is about. And getting lucky doesn't help. So that's just the golden combination, right? Knowing what's going on and getting lucky when you need to. It's a bit sad that that carpet is making sure that Ancient Tomb is less strong, like less of a help for my Kaito plan. Brian needs like a 1-2 punch and backup times 2, or like triple payoff, payoff protection, or something along those lines. Ooh, this is very good for me. Let's see. Yeah, let's keep digging. 11. Let's see, should I brainstorm to get rid of 2 bad ones? Probably pretty solid. Brainstorm. Maybe I'm supposed to get rid of Lance, I guess. Yeah, let's get rid of the lands. Activate Murktide. That is a good one for next turn, ensuring lethal. I guess I just pass here. Trying to think about what Consign can do. I think it can save me from like some single pact shenanigans. Bunch of cards here, a bunch of mana rather. 6 mana Hive Mind, 2 cards in hand. This is where I certainly fight. Force Negation. Pitch Ponder seems reasonable. Okay, I'm very happy to get through that turn. Good brainstorm end of turn. Does that do anything? Probably decent. So that card is bad. That card is less bad, I guess. So now I think I should try and resolve Murktide first. And then if my opponent does anything about it, I can pump Kaito and kill over 2 turns. This way I'm tapping down from Consign. Is that viable? I think it's fine. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Murktide Regent. Let's get rid of these cards. Play Swamp. Pass. All right. Brian has to beat me now through a Force and the Consign. I guess in some crazy situation I bring out the days, but I don't see it. Show and tell. I can't let that happen, right? Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh shoot, Hardcast Force is live now. Hardcast Force, and then what's the payoff? I've only seen Hive Mind so far. I can stun Emrakul if it's that one. Okay, I guess let him show me how it's done. Can't really fathom the upside or downside here. I don't even know what that is. So wait a minute. The opponent gets a Murktide. Let's read this card now. Exchange control of target non-creature spell and target creature. Okay, okay. So he got a Murktide and cleared the stack type of deal. Okay. So now that's funny. Stun. Attack. I guess I put in this Kaito, a fresh one. Get my opponent to 1 draw. Is this a Bowmaster? It's not a Bowmaster. I guess I'll look for a Force or Bowmaster. Third Swamp. Nice. Pass. Can Bosh do it here? I don't even know if I lose to Hive Mind Pact. Probably don't, because of Consign. This does look like there's something left in the chamber. Yeah, Otawara on that card. Okay, let's go. That's really cool to see. Bowmaster? Baleful Strix? Okay. Strix. Ponder. I think this is where I look for the Bowmasters. Another Consign. Let's shuffle. I don't get there. Let's see. How much mana is the opponent working with? 2, 5. Is it dangerous to get my opponent to 6 mana? I don't know. I'll pass and find out. These games have just been so funny. It's a lot of stuff like when you don't know those decks, a lot of weird stuff can happen. All right, that's going to do it for today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Up next is a little bit of post-match talk between Bosh and I. So yeah, thanks a lot for watching, guys. All right, guys, we're back here with the post-game. I'm Andreas, and I'm joined here by Bosh and Roll, and we just had a fun set of games, I must say, because this is usually not what I spent the most of my time on. I'm usually playing, you know, the Reanimator decks and the Tempo decks of the world, but now this was pure passion. Was that the same from your point of view?
Yeah, and my content's a little different than yours. I do this more often. I've played every single one of those decks I just played before in some form or another, maybe 5 years ago, maybe more recently, but none of that was new to me. I've played all of the decks that you played I've done this. I release a video every day, and they usually come from my community, which is the same place that we sourced these decks. So
yeah,
for me, it's more like, okay, once in a while I'll play Dimir Tempo just to let the sickos have something to grab onto. But generally, I like showcasing the full depth of what you could do with legacy cards.
Yeah, certainly, and we certainly did that today. So we started off with, I was on the mono black deck, the mono black aggro deck, which I think is has a lot of potential. It has a lot of good tools, good things to do all up the curve. We had some interesting games. You lined it up against let's see, the Jeskai energy deck, I didn't know it was Jeskai until that bombardment you hit with the Brainstorm game 2, and that really crushed me. You hit that card and then a plow underneath for the full blowout, and that just blew me out of the water. So, yeah, how did you like that matchup?
That was sweet. That was just slugging it out. We just had some creatures, a couple of spells. Some of the creatures had extra words on them. That was basically like playing draft with really high power decks. It was sweet, like lining. And the thing you just described where you Thoughtseized me, and my brainstorm was 3 Ajani's Ponder Plow Bombardment. And I was narrating during the game. I basically get to pick what you take here because I didn't think you would take one of the 3 Ajani's, which you ended up doing. Like, you just weren't worried about Ponder and thought you could work through the first 2 Ajani's. But basically, it was like, I get to set the entire terms of this game. I get to pick what he takes with Thoughtseize. I get to hide what I want, draw it in the order I want. And the game just unfolded entirely how I scripted it from my turn 1 brainstorm. And that was really satisfying.
Completely. I've been doing a little bit of modern on the side, and just that whole developing your bombardment before Ajani is just in any fair matchup is just like bread and butter. Really, really nice, and it worked like a charm. I didn't have any chance. I even had to get very lucky game 1 with. Let's see. I drew Sheldred's Edict in a very clutch situation. Then I drew a couple of Baraglyphs, with very in very short order. Like, it was just so compact, like banger.
Yeah. Game 1, we just traded back and forth removal spells and creatures, and then we got to the spot where I had a 3-power flyer and you had a 1-power not flyer in a damage race where we're both hellbent, and then you went removal spell Baraglyph hits Baraglyph in the next 3 turns. And I was like, all right, that's how top deck wars go.
That's how it goes. I was scared when I missed the first Baraglyph trigger, but then I came back stronger with having access to 3 copies in the end there. And then game 3, I had an aggressive Stalker draw that with 5 basic swamps, which is really not ideal. I think the deck plays 7, and then with 8 fetches. I think if there's a fetch in the mix, I get you there on the race. Would you agree that was like the difference there?
Maybe. I'm not sure. I wasn't in the weeds on what you were sequencing as much as just trying to
basically stabilize 5, and I was forced into making a bad attack where I knew the double block was coming and the stalkers were trading. So there's a little bit of a couple of turns where I don't grow those guys. It did grow from you dazing the Baraglyph, which was a nice little, not a surprise because I play a lot with Molten Collapse, but a nice little benefit that not everybody might not know about, right?
Right.
Yeah, it just felt like when you get your engine up and running, that's where the mono black deck is losing. That's not really a big surprise.
Yeah, of course. Like, any fair deck is not going to keep up with the bombardment of Johnny stuff if they don't break it up immediately. And mono black does not answer goblin bombardment at all. Like, that's just going to be in play. All your removal is going to be bad, even if I don't get my engine going. I have block sack lines against Baraglyph. I have ping you every time something dies. Your life total is getting lower. That's just obviously, like you said, anyone who plays modern knows that's a really tough 2 cards they haven't played together, Ajani and Bombardment.
Certainly. So up next, I was lining up the Bant Beachblade deck, submitted by a very passionate user who loves that deck. I've also done a little bit of work on it. And you played Dimir Ninjas, which was funny because I knew I had that one coming for round 3. But we had some banger of games here where I didn't know you would play the Hacker. I only thought about like 2-mana and 3-mana Ninjutsu cards. How did you like that one, the 2-1?
It was cool. It gave me a few spots where there was a turn where I specifically lined up like I only am showing blue, or there was some specific situation where I was holding up something else while I could ninja for 1. Like, there was a ponder, I think, where I had access to Kaito or Moonblade Hacker, and I took the Hacker. I put Kaito in my hand, force something losing Kaito on your turn to have Hacker instead. And
I noticed that the Hacker went, the Kaito went to exile, and I was like, what does this mean? Like, what does this tell me about your hand? And it certainly disguised what you ended up having.
Right. Yeah. And the list that was submitted from my community, that one was different. Like, I had not seen Hackers used. I've played with Retrofitter Foundry. I've played with Satoru. I've played with a bunch of ways. Like, the list I had didn't have any way to capitalize on an Ornithopter. Like, no way to flip it into a 4/4 or draw a card off it in the late game. Nothing like that. but it did have 1-drop ninjutsu effects. So I wanted to feature that one because it was different than what I've done before.
Yeah, that certainly gave you like a burst into the early turns, and then of course that Ornithopter doesn't provide a whole lot of value later on, which I guess inevitably was also what it came down to a little bit. I had a bit higher card quality into the later stages of the game. I kept spamming Nadus. You had a brutal daze that really surprised me because you went like Sulphurous Springs is not the name of the card. Something Springs, the other side of Sink into Stupor, and Otawara, and then all of a sudden I get dazed on the Shuko. Whew, that was a brutal one. With the Stoneforge resolving, I was like, okay, let's put this guy, let's put this clown to sleep. But no, I got dazed.
Yep, yeah. I do. That is something that I've always had to worry about when I play ninjas, because that's a deck I have a lot of experience with, where it's a deck with 3 or 4 basic swamps and 3 or 4 dazes. And then if you want a tech land like Otawara, like Sink into Stupor, daze just gets worse and worse every minute. And, you know, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But I probably would not play that many dazes, or I would build my mana base differently if I was building ninjas from the ground up.
Yeah, it's but it certainly got me good here, because if I slow roll that Shuko, I can't lose. But now playing it out, that gets very iffy. So I ended up taking that one in close fashion. We talked a little bit off camera about the last couple of turns getting complicated. I forgot to take up my Planeswalker. I miscounted my mana, and things got a little bit iffy. And you also said you messed up a little bit on a combat. But this is just what is bound to happen when you don't have a ton of experience with a deck. But it also happens for the opponent, right? That board states become complicated, mistakes can happen. Like, do you think this is something you can transfer into, let's say you go to a local tournament and you get some edge from this complicated game situations? Do you think that's a real thing?
Yeah, if you are better at that than your opponent is, then absolutely. That's, in Vintage, which, different format, but Vintage players are historically terrible at combat. They don't know how to line up blocks or get good trades or do the race math. Like, they're just so bad at it. And it's because that's not a skill that's generally used in Vintage. And just yesterday I was recording Unpowered Red Prison for the channel, and every single opponent tried to block Broadside Bombardier with 1 creature. Every single one lined up they don't know what... They've never read Menace. They've never read Broadside Bombardier. If you are pushing the game into a place where your opponent is not ready to play it, then if you can leverage that, and this is a really important thing about Brewer's Advantage or bringing a tier 2, tier 3 off meta deck, is you have to be perfect. If Brewer's Advantage is worth something, like you running that Shuko into Daze, that was Brewer's Advantage. If I was on some stock list, you would know to play around Daze. But the ninja list I was sent was 61 cards, and with, in my opinion, not enough lands. I mean, shout out to my community. Thank you all for sharing the decks. This is not a rag. This is good feedback. The ninja list I was sent was 61 cards with not enough lands. The show and tell deck I was sent was 62 cards with not enough lands. And if you're bringing these off meta decks, you need your list to be perfect. You need your sideboard map to be perfect. You have to execute perfectly while your opponent is scrambling to catch up. If you show up just on vibes without a sideboard plan with a 62 card deck, you lose your Brewer's Advantage because you're dealing with other stuff. You can't be making up on the fly if your advantage is to hope your opponent has to make it up on the fly, because then it washes out.
Yeah, that's a good point. You need your fundamentals in check, and then we can talk about the Brewer's Advantage, but not before we kind of check all of those boxes. Right. I think that's a very, very good point. Speaking of the 62-card deck, last match was the showdown between... So this is funny. One of my first top 8s in paper was with Hivemind back in the day, but I just couldn't put it together. What's the card called this, where you swap the
Sudden Substitution?
That card, I was like, I think this is a Forbidden Orchard deck. I brought in a Harbinger because my sideboard was not very good against your deck, and just in hope that would do something, but I have no idea if it even would. So I was really in scrambles here because, does Consign work against these pack triggers that I'm going to die from? I think so. So I guess I'll board those in. I was in trouble there. That was a cool deck. You were obviously stumbling a lot in game 1. And I was lucky to draw 1,000,000 forces in the 3rd game. I only played 6, and I think I drew 3 of them. while, you know, even enabling your orchard enabled by Kaito. Like, I just had such good working conditions. I feel like you would actually be favored if we played more games with the version I had versus yours.
Yeah, I think if my list cleaned up a little bit and just hit my land drops, like that list had 5 or 6 basic islands in it. So I don't care about Wasteland. I don't know if you have back to basics in that build. For the first 2 games, I thought you were the Be Excellent, no reserve list Dimir mid-range list that he's been
yeah, you didn't see any
with.
ninjas. Yeah,
right. You milled a ninja off of a Kaito Surveil in game 3, and I was like, oh shit. All right.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So
Yeah.
like, I was thinking about all those things, and yeah, I think structurally that deck is very good against a mid-range slower ninja deck, but
yeah,
obviously any deck needs mana to play the game.
Yeah, my list had 0 thought seizes in it, so it was very tuned against fair. So I was basically leaning on 6 forces and a couple of dazes, with a lot of, you know, the value stuff not really mattering against the show and tell strategy. So I didn't like that matchup, and I feel quite lucky to emerge victorious from that one. I have one more thing, Brian, before we get us out of here. I think we should make this a monthly thing. If your schedule allows for it, I'm already working on the branding, the B&B, the Bosh and Baron FNM. Like I'll get there. This could be very cool. What do you think of this?
All right, I'm going to improve the branding already. It's the Bosh and Baron Battle for the Basement.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
We're
like
down
those.
in the dregs. We're down in the weird off meta stuff, fighting for the king of the basement. There's a lot of bees. People love alliteration.
Yes.
So
okay, I like that already. So now we just need your busy schedule to line up, and we're good to go, basically.
yeah, I should be able to do it most of the time, which should be exciting for our various communities. By the way,
Yeah.
I'm on Patreon, and you're on Metafy. Is that where you host your stuff?
Yeah, exactly. That's where I have built my barony. So
Cool.
I'm growing stronger by the day. Do your members have any like cool names to it, like the barons on my side?
My universe is called the Roll Nation, and so it's kind of like a barony. A barony is like a nation, right? And my basic members are citizens, and then there's mayors and nobles as you go up.
Ooh,
I also have travelers, but they're not in my Discord. They just pay me like $1 or $2 a month and get ad block absolution, but they don't get any benefits. So travelers, citizens, cool. Mayors, and nobles are the members of the Roll Nation, of which I am the king, which I think outranks Baron.
It's it does, unfortunately, but it's also cool to have one place where I can be, you know, in charge. Right. So that's how I view that. But okay, so we'll work on that a little bit, and hopefully we can be back with some more cool decks in the future. I highly enjoyed this. This is a cool change from what I normally do, and as long as people are willing to send us decks, why not put it to good use and jam against each other?
Right.
Brian, I guess you should get us out of here.
One more thing I want to point out before we sign off is our decks were full of good cards, which is really important to show that the depth of Legacy. And sometimes you see a deck, or like I get sent a lot of decks, and sometimes it's just doesn't make any sense. But Tamiyo, Orcish Bowmaster, Force of Will, Daze, Wasteland, these cards, Thoughtseize, these cards were everywhere in the 6 decks we just played. And you know, you can put good cards in unproven or off-meta decks and still have a good time. Something that I like to say about Eternal formats is we're all playing Legacy. When someone comes up to me and they're like, I just lost with Dimir Tempo versus Hivemind Omni Show, it's like, we're all playing Legacy, man. That's a deck that can win on turn 1. Did you have a Force? Like, we're all playing the same format here. These cards are all good. So
that's a good point. I usually use it for Vintage, where that guy's Lotus also taps for 3 mana, so watch out for that deck.
That's right.
It's the same. It's the same. The gap is not as big as some people might think. So I think that's a good point to round out the show here. I enjoyed it quite a bit. Thanks so much for your time, Brian.
Yeah, for sure. I will see you next time.
Yes, sir.